Today we're going to learn how to code the Circuit Playground Express using MakeCode by Microsoft. So Adafruit and Microsoft actually collaborated and made a custom version of MakeCode for Adafruit and the Circuit Playground Express exclusively. MakeCode's actually used a lot to code your own games as well as Minecraft downloadable content, which I think is a really interesting and good, and it's easy to use, which is why we're using MakeCode today instead of learning how to code in JavaScript. So I have included a link to this site, the Adafruit version of MakeCode, in the description of this video because it was actually kind of hard to find. I had to go all over the Adafruit's website to find it, but I've linked it for your convenience here. What we're going to do is we're going to go down to My Projects and go to New Project. It creates an empty project. So right here in this workspace, you have your workspace on the right where these dotted backgrounds are. And then in this middle here column is all the variables that you can drag and drop onto the workspace. And then on the left here is the simulation of the Circuit Playground Express, which is very good to be able to see what you're coding it and programming it to do. And it's also useful for those of us that may not have a Circuit Playground Express available to us at this moment. So this that they go ahead and load onto every workspace when you create a new project is a loop. Loops are important because they are a closed bracket. They're the closed, open and closed brackets for coding. So for anything to work on this workspace, it needs to be inside something that is square and doesn't have any divots to connect it to anything. So in that case, it's these loops and inputs. Okay, so right now we have a forever loop. I actually don't want to start with a forever loop. We are going to start with an on-start loop. Okay, and on start, we want the lights. Say we want the lights to turn on. Here, this blue at the top is lights, and you just click on that. And you can decide which individual lights you want to be turned on and what colors they want to turn on with show ring. You can make it do an animation with the lights. With show animations, you can set all pixels to a specific color. You can change the brightness. Whoop. Well, this is a learning moment here. I didn't mean to click on brightness, but if you ever move a variable onto the workspace and it's not within one of the square loops or inputs, it will just turn transparent like this because it won't function as an individual part of code. It has to be inserted into the code of the loops or the input. So once you put it inside the loop, it'll be opaque again and it'll actually work to set the brightness, but we don't want to use the brightness. So if you ever drop anything on the workspace that you don't want, you just want to click on it until it's highlighted in yellow and then hit backspace and it'll disappear. Okay, so we want to go to lights and we want to set all pixels to a certain color. So I want to set the pixels to this bright blue here. So over here, as you can see, the animation is already playing. Excuse me, the simulation is already working and it's showing you what color the lights are going to turn. Now, to stop the animation, you just go down here to the leftmost button on the simulation and hit stop the simulation, and then it won't do anything. And then you press that again, and it'll start the simulation back up. So that's how you do a basic loop with just turning the lights on. Okay, now that the lights are on, next we are going to add music. So this is the orange part, music right here. We want it to play a sound. So we're going to click on this first one, play a sound, and we're going to drag and drop it underneath the set all pixels to. And we're going to have it play jump up. Okay, and then you're going to go over here and it played the sound. Okay, and so that works. The sound will play and the lights turn on automatically at the same time. And this is just what happens as soon as the circuit playground is turned on. That's what the loops do. As soon as it turns on, it starts doing this, and it'll do this until it's over, or if you use the forever loop, it will continue to repeat it forever and ever and ever until it turns off or it dies. Another function you can do is have something happen on an input. So let's say I want to click one of the buttons to make it do something. So we're going to drag this first one and put it on the workspace, on button A, on when I click on button A, button B, a combination of button A and B, just whatever you want it to do, but for this purpose we're going to do button A. When I click it, we are going to make it change light colors. So let's say I want it to do an animation. So we're going to drag the animation and make sure that it fits into the jigsaw puzzle here of this input, and then I want it to be rainbow for 2 seconds because it's pretty and I think it's fun, and then I also want it to play a sound. So I'm going to drag play a sound and then change that to the power up. So every time I click button A, it should show this animation and power up. Play the power up sound. So over here, we're going to hit play. So it's like you turn it on, you put on the power, turn on the power, excuse me. And then over here, you can see that you can click on the buttons. So the over here is button A, so I'm just going to click on it. So it plays the animation, and then it plays the sound. Now, to fix that, if you want it to play automatically together, the sound and the animation, then you will add this conditional logic function in here that if the animation is true and this is happening, then it will play the sound. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click the A button. That didn't work. I'm learning with you guys. So I'm going to drag. Oh, my mouse isn't working. Okay, we're going to drag and drop this again. And an easy way to get it to play the sound before it shows the animation is to put the sound on top of the animation because it does it in sequence of the way that it reads the code. So you want it to play the sound while the animation is happening, it just has to start the sounds first. So you want it to power up and then show the animation. So here we're going to hit play. So it set all the pixels to the blue and it played the sound, jump up. And then when you click A, it should play the sound and do the animation simultaneously. Okay, so that is how you can use both loops and inputs to program the circuit playground to do something. And there are many kinds of inputs. There are motion controls. It has a microphone so it'll hear sounds. It has light sensitivity. There's a switch. There's buttons. It will do all kinds of things, and it's really just up to you as to what you want it to do. So those are really the basics of the functions here. One that I haven't gone over yet are the logic functions. So if true, then. This is the one that I've used most often. So if true, then we're going to add this to the button click. And we're going to stop that so it doesn't play anymore. So what this will do is if the previous actions are true or that they haven't, then it will do this next thing. And what I want it to do is change the lights. So I want it to set all pixels to this bright pink color. So if I hit the button, it should play the power up sound, show the animation for 2 seconds, and then if that happens, then it'll set all the pixels to pink. So we have to hit play, let it do its on start things, and then hit the button. And then it turns it all to pink. So those are a lot of the basic functions and the things that I have used to code my Circuit Playground Express. The next thing that you need to know how to do is download it onto the Circuit Playground Express. You just go down here to this big pink button, hit download, and it'll give you step-by-step instructions as to how to download it. But what you do is you take the USB cable that comes with the Circuit Playground Express. It's USB-A to micro USB. Make sure that you have USB-A capabilities on your laptop or computer or whatever you're using. A lot of technology doesn't have that now, but just make sure that you do, because otherwise you won't be able to program this. Then you press the reset button in the middle of the circuit board, and everything will turn green. And then it'll be ready to go. So then you click and drag the file you downloaded onto Playboot. So you just go to your File Explorer, and it'll pop up. And you go to your downloads, so you can see what you downloaded, and you drag and drop onto the Playboot. And then it should immediately start to do that on your Circuit Playground Express. And it should do exactly what it is doing on this simulation here. Okay, and you can do a lot of things with this. I do want to show you what I have been able to do in one of my projects. This is the tutorial. You do have to name it before it'll let you leave. You can also skip that, but usually it lets you name it. I did program mine to play Jingle Bells. So over here on the simulation, you can watch it. There's a little light show. Okay, so I programmed it to play Jingle Bells. So it shows the animation that I wanted as a kind of intro to the song. And then I used the repeat function from the loops. Then it played a melody, the show ring, the if true then. So you can just drag and drop these functions, play around with them, and get them to do whatever you want them to do. And you can troubleshoot it by making the simulation play. If the simulation plays, then it should work on your actual Circuit Playground Express. And maybe you have an issue that you run into and it's not doing exactly what you wanted to, like I did a few minutes ago with the sounds playing, with the sound not playing while the animation was going, and you can just move things around and see what works for you. If you're interested in coding and you want to see the JavaScript behind this, you can just toggle over to JavaScript from blocks, and it'll show you the code. But for beginners, this is a lot easier here to just understand that. But that is the basics of how you use Microsoft MakeCode to code your Adafruit Circuit Playground Express.